Dear English teachers, good afternoon. Welcome to our seminar for today, which is specified to talk about applied lessons for grade 1. Well, dear English teachers, as you know, as you remember, in our last seminars, we talked about different topics in which we talked about first the communicative approach and the importance of communication when teaching English. In our next seminars, we talked about lesson planning, we talked about classroom management, and how to teach different skills, speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Well, as you know, the title of this seminar is very important because in this seminar we will try today to highlight some important points how the teacher can give his lesson to students of grade 1. Well, dear colleagues, let me first welcome my colleagues in the studio, Mrs. Umayma Sharba, an English supervisor from Tartus. Good afternoon, Mrs.
Good afternoon.
Umayma.
Good afternoon.
And Mr. Abdul Majid Overley, an English supervisor from Damascus countryside. Good afternoon, Mr. Abdul Majid.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Well, dear colleagues, we have chosen a lesson from grade 1, which is unit 13. We have chosen lesson 1 and lesson 2. I will show you, first of all, the lesson. Yes. So it is in grade 1, unit 13, lessons 1 and 2. Of course, when we want to give a lesson as teachers, we should have, as we said before, a lesson plan, right, my colleagues?
That's
Yes.
right.
So, first of all, in our plan, or in my plan as a teacher, I should mention the title of the lesson. I mean, there are some stages the teacher should follow when designing his lesson plan. He should mention the title of the lesson. Of course, it is Let's Play and Sing, as I think,
Yes.
right? And the second stage, which is time, he should mention the time. Of course, we have a class which, let's say, extends to 45 minutes. The time, we need 45 minutes only for this class. The objectives, he should mention the objectives of the lesson, and presentation, or the procedures that must be followed in the lesson, the activities that should be applied in the lesson, techniques and strategies followed in the lesson, tools used in the lesson, evaluation, and at the end, the homework. Well, dear colleagues, let me ask you first, Mr. Abdul Majid. I think you are going to talk about the objectives later on, but now let's talk about each stage, Mrs. Umayma. The title of the lesson, it's necessary to mention the title of the lesson.
Of course.
Or at least the number of the unit,
Yes.
the number of the lesson. You should mention this. Next one, timing. When we talk about timing, I think it's not enough to give the time of the whole class, which is 45 minutes. He should divide the time
Distribute.
for each stage. Distribute the time during the lesson, yes. And what about the objectives here? We have, I think, objectives for the teacher, and we have objectives or skills for the students themselves. I mean, as a teacher, I should teach them so and so. I should give them so and so. This is my aim in this lesson as a teacher. But as a student, I think we should mention at the end of the lesson, my students will be able to do so and so,
Yes.
right? And of course, you are going to talk about this. Now, Mr. Majid, as we said, Unit 13, Grade 1, Lesson 1, the title of the lesson is Let's Sing and Play. Let me, Mr. Majid, ask you about the aims of this lesson, please, or this
Thank you
unit
very
as a whole. Let's start with Lesson 1, please.
Yes. As you said, we have aims to the teacher, what he is going to do in the classroom,
Yes,
and objectives, behavioral objectives for the students.
of course.
Before he gives any lesson, a teacher needs to plan for her lesson. As you said, we have in our schools 45 minutes for the whole lesson. He is going to distribute time according to the objectives of the lesson. For the teacher, for lesson 1 and 2, unit 13, as we said, we have parts of the body. So the teacher needs to teach parts of the body, and for the students are going to be able, the students will be able to name the parts of the body.
Good.
So first objective, let's say, students will be able to name the parts of the body
So
or
let's
to
talk
label.
about the aims first, Mr. Majid.
The
please.
aims to teach
Yes.
the
For the
vocabulary.
teacher, of
For the
course.
teacher, he is
Yes.
going to teach the vocabulary,
Yes.
head, arm, foot, leg, and hand.
So these are the parts of the body.
Yes.
Yes.
For the students are going to be able at the end of the lesson to name or the label the parts of the body. The teacher mentioned to himself that I'm going to teach these things.
Good.
So the objective, first objective for the students, they are going to be able to label the head, the
So we
arm,
have new
the foot.
vocabulary.
Yeah. This
We
is
have
new
new
vocabulary.
vocabulary related to the human body. Good.
Second objective, for the teacher to revise question and answer. To revise question and answer forms short yes/no questions
Yes/no
and
questions.
short answers.
Yes.
For the students will be able to answer yes/no questions. Now, the procedures for the teacher now, he is going to mention how he is going to teach this.
Is
This
he able
comes,
to ask about
Yes.
something?
in the activity or the presentation. The teacher is going to write the procedures, how he is going to explain, make the students
Present.
able to
Yes.
elicit the meaning of head, arm, leg, foot, and hand from the students themselves.
Yes.
So this is going to be in the procedure.
Good.
How the teacher can touch his head, for example, mentioning the word head. Touch your head, and then he can ask the students to touch their heads, touch your head, doing
Yes, yes.
themselves.
Of course, we are
the
going to talk
procedure.
about the procedure,
Yes.
Mr. Majid. We are now talking about the aims in general, the aims of the lesson, of lesson
Okay.
1. These are the aims. So let's say aim number 1 is to teach the new
To-
vocabulary,
yes.
head, arm,
Head,
foot,
arm,
leg, and
foot, leg,
hand.
and hand.
The second aim,
Second aim is to revise question and answer forms. Is the bag blue?
for example, yes.
Yes, it is.
Or no.
no, it isn't, according to the object in front of the pupil himself.
Good. What else?
So we need here to differentiate between the teacher's aim
Yes.
and the students, the objective of the student.
So when we say to teach the names of the parts
This is
of
for
the
the
body,
teacher.
this is for the teacher, not for the student.
Yeah. The student is going to be able to name
Yes.
the parts of the body, the head, the arm, the foot, the leg, the hand.
You mean, Mr. Majid, we talked about lesson planning before, that we said that the teacher should mention, let's say, objectives that must be or can be measured.
Yes, of course.
So I can evaluate. How can I evaluate
Actually,
if I say to teach?
we have two kinds of aims, behavioral objectives and general objectives.
Exactly.
General objectives cannot be measured. Is when you say to revise, we cannot measure to revise. This is general aim. But the behavioral aim,
To ask and answer.
yeah, the behavioral aim should be measured.
When we
We
say
need-
to ask,
Yes, yeah, of
yes, no
course.
question, to use yes, no questions correctly, to answer by yes or no, this
Yes.
is, I think, can be measured.
Yeah.
It can
So
be measured.
to teach yes, no questions is general objective, but students to be able to answer short answers, this is behavioral objective.
Good.
When we say to teach new vocabulary, this is general aim. But when we say students will be able to name the parts of the body, head, so this can be, when I say touch your hand or raise your hand, when the student responds, we can measure that he
course.
understood. So we have two aims, general aim for the teacher himself and for the student as well. And the skill the student is going to be able to do is the behavioral objective. Behavioral objective should be measured.
That's it. Thank you very much. So let's talk, let's try to conclude the aims. The first one is to teach the names of the parts of the human body or of the body. Next one, to sing a song and
Yes.
perform actions, as you said, touch your hand, touch your head, touch your mouth.
Actually, we
That's
are
it.
going to teach the new vocabulary because these vocabulary are going to be mentioned in the song
Yes.
itself. That's
Yes.
why. So before we ask
This is
the
the
student-
importance
yes,
of the song itself.
yes. So we need to make the student able to distinguish what he is going to sing.
Yes.
This is the new vocabulary. Later, the second objective is to sing the song itself. When
What
the
about the letters now? Here we have two letters, I think, to
Yeah, we
trace the
have
letters L,
L
and H.
and H?
So we
because-
have two new letters
Yeah,
here.
the new letters for leg,
Yes.
L for leg, and H for head and
Or
hand.
hand, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Majid. Mrs. Umayma. Now, what about the structures? Here we talk about grammar now.
Yes.
When we say structures, I think this title is related to grammar,
To grammar.
right?
Yes.
So, what can you tell us about structures in this lesson?
Yes.
Lesson 1, please.
Yes, in this lesson that we are talking about, the structure, first of all, we speak about the yes and no questions. The first, for example, is the bag blue? Students are supposed to answer yes or no. Yes, it is. No, it's not.
Good.
Then we have another structure, the indefinite articles, the a and an. Students are supposed to use the a and an while
Good,
having the
good,
lesson.
good.
Then we have the imperatives. According to the lesson, they are given imperatives.
When we say clap,
Yes,
they should respond.
they should
Stand,
respond.
put,
Yes,
jump, shake,
shake, sit down,
stand up.
Yes, that's
Good,
it.
good.
The functions giving commands. And we have the topic
Yes.
relating to the structure. We have the body, vocabularies, the vocabulary used. We have many examples
Good.
like ear, eye, parts of the body, mouth, nose, head, arm, foot, leg, and hand.
So these are the new vocabulary.
These
yes,
are
in
the new
lesson.
vocabularies in which the students are supposed to learn and do. It's related to the structure, as we say.
Good.
And the writing. We have the writing when tracing, because we are
When
dealing with this
the
lesson.
student is
yeah.
able to trace
This
the
is
letter.
behavioral objective.
It's
This is
behavior-
writing in grade 1.
Yes.
We don't ask students in grade 1, for example, to write a whole sentence
Yes.
or a whole word. We ask them to trace because they are at the beginning
Yes.
and they are not able, as I think,
Yes.
to write a whole sentence or a whole structure. It's enough to trace the letters correctly.
Yes.
Or
Use
copy it.
lines.
Use
or
lines,
copy. Yes,
yes.
that's it.
That's
we
it.
can use dots and we can ask the student to match these dots to form, let's say, a letter or a word.
That's right.
Right? It's a new technique.
Yes.
It's a kind of technique.
A kind of
Yes.
technique. Yes,
Yes,
a
the
teacher,
teacher can follow.
can follow. He can be creative and knows
Good.
his students and
Good.
yes, the differences between them. So he can achieve this purpose, the
Good.
writing.
Now, Mrs. Umayma, Mr. Majid, the teacher, let's say, decides the objectives, structures, the new structures that must be learned in this lesson. Now, we want to talk about the resources. He should mention in his plan the resources. What are the resources required for this lesson? Please.
Yes. Well, here, the first resource for the teacher is the book itself, the pupil's book and the activity book.
Good.
In our lesson, it is page 35, exercise 1, sing. He can use the cassette.
Yes.
The cassette can help him for pronouncing the new words and for singing the song before asking the students to sing the songs. The board, one of the resources he can use, flashcards, for example. He can stick flashcards on the board. He can use pictures.
Yes.
So these are the resources. Flashcards. He can use body wall chart. Body wall
Good.
chart. He can hang it on the board with labels, numbers for the head, ear. After teaching them the head, the hand, the ear, he can ask the students what is number 6, for example.
Yes.
And in this stage, students know to count from 1 to 10. So he can use the numbers.
Good.
1 to what is number 1, head, what is number 2. We can use the activity book, page 35, exercise 1, to trace.
Yes.
Trace the letters.
So these are, I think, Mr. Majid, the necessary resources for this lesson.
Yes.
Here they are mentioned in the teacher's guide, I think. these are the resources required or needed for lesson one, the necessary. But of course, the teacher himself
He can bring whatever
can bring whatever he can, or he is the only one who decides what, let's say, resource that suits, let's say, the level of his students, what makes them motivated or more motivated, because he knows very well different levels of his students, and he knows very well their interests also. So
Pupils like toys. He can
Yes.
bring a toy. He can use the toy to explain,
Exactly.
illustrate.
So he
what
can
he will-
invent something or design something else. He can use technology, let's say that, if it is available in the classroom or at school, he can use the
Projector.
internet, projector, anything else which is suitable for this lesson.
He can
Yes.
show the hand on a screen.
He
show
can bring
the
some
hair,
pictures
the
with
ear,
him,
pictures,
drawings.
flashcards.
Yes.
Why not? So these are the resources. Now, Miss Umayma, thank you, Mr. Majid.
Yes.
We have everything. We have the objectives. We have the resources. Now, we will start as teachers to give this lesson.
Yes.
When the teacher enters the classroom, what should he do at the beginning?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Basil. First of all, the teacher, when he enters the classroom, he should start his lesson first with the warming up. Warming up, we started after the greeting, greeting with a smile,
Yes.
not a big laugh, with a
Of
smile.
course, yes.
Then he has to start with the warming up, which is the first step he does in the
Yes.
classroom. The warming up, according to the time he states in his plan, the teacher, we know that it's about 5 minutes, maybe more or less, 1 minute more or less,
Good.
according to the lesson. Especially this lesson, it needs 5 minutes, and the teacher, we always insist on relating to in the previous lesson or previous information
Good.
that the students know.
Good.
So we have the review first to revise. The teacher
Yes.
should revise first the previous
Maybe
information.
by asking 2 or 3 questions
Yes, maybe.
from previous experience, yes.
So he is going to revise color because they knew. So color quickly with the class using many activities and many things, tools, techniques.
How can do this? I think he can choose something from the classroom itself.
He can
From the
point to
classroom.
something.
For example, all the students have bags with them.
Yes,
And of course, the bags of the students have different colors. Let's say Mazen is one of the students. He can ask Mazen, "Hello Mazen, how are you today? Are you fine? Okay. What is this?" He can ask the students or his colleagues, his
Yes.
partner, for example. He would say, "It's a bag. Of what color is this bag? Blue, red, green, etc."
Yes.
So in this way, he can do the warming up. He
Yes.
can choose something from previous knowledge, from their previous
And
experience.
he
Yes.
can use yes/no questions in this
Yes.
level. Say,
course.
is it blue? Is the bag blue? And the student will say, yes, it is.
Yes.
If it's yes, blue. No, it isn't. So he can revise yes/no questions.
It's an
in this way.
introduction to his lesson.
yes.
Yes.
An
Good.
introduction that's
So
revised.
let's look at the lesson itself, please. It's at page 35
Yes.
in the student's book, dear colleagues. Of course, it's the title of lesson 1 is Sing. So it's
Sing,
a
yes.
song here, and we ask the students to sing this song. So clap your hands twice, of course, this phrase, and stamp your feet. Put your hands in the air and jump out of your chair. Clap your hands, and shake your head. Put your hands in the air and sit down on your chair. So this is the song.
Yes.
It's so easy. Of course, there are some words or new vocabulary in this song. We have the verbs, as you said, commands.
Yes.
We have clap. We have put your hands in the air. We have jump out of your chair, etc. Sit down, put your hands in the air, shake your head, clap
Yes.
your hands. So we have many orders or commands, and he should teach them
The teacher
how to
needs
do this.
to teach all these things.
Yes,
So before they clap, he needs to teach them
the meaning of
hand.
clap, of the hand.
And after that, say, raise your hand.
Yes,
And the teacher himself can clap, saying clap. use the gesture of clapping.
course.
Say clap. Clap your hands,
Yes.
showing them the
You can
meaning
use
of
the body
clapping.
language. You
Then
can
he
use
can
pictures.
ask the individual students to clap their hands to show them the meaning of clap.
Good.
Yeah. So before we show them, before they open their books and see the lesson in the book, we need to teach them the meaning of clap, the meaning of hand, the meaning of shake.
Good.
The teacher shakes his head and says, shake your head.
Yes.
He shows them through his gestures the meaning of shake, so that when they sing the song, they know what they are singing, what they are doing.
So the timing is very important, as we said,
Yes.
Mrs.
Yes.
Umayma. I think 5 minutes
Enough.
are enough for
They are
warming
enough.
For
up
warming
for
up.
this stage. No
Yes.
more.
No more than
5
this.
minutes.
Yes, and
Good.